Comparative Media Studies is an academic program, is poised at the kind of at the frontiers, technologically speaking, of what's happening. So what do new technologies make possible? What is that? What are the implications in terms of representation and documentary? But what are also the implications in terms of interactivity, in terms of connectivity, about the creation process? And to just say where we're coming from, I'm sure all of you know about a little bit about cinema verite, or about the kind of more American version of this. Both of them using similar technology. There's handheld 16 millimeter cameras, highly portable sound equipment, and of course a style of intimacy that looked very strange to the world of 35 millimeter professional documentary that this burst into. So it's always been an interesting question. Why does this take off? Why does this take over? And of course, the answer is the platform. There was a new platform, hungry for content, hungry for intimacy, hungry for a new look, and this style fit quite well. And plus, it was a cheaper to produce form of documentary. So I think in a very similar way, we're like that today. We have a new platform and a new set of technologies, and of course, far more people that are engaged in the act of representation. And so it's here that our lab is poised. So what are these technologies? Okay, the phone, but there are 101 other technologies that we look at. But also, what are the social dynamics of what does this mean when people, not just in the West, and when people that are not just men, and when, what does it mean when they are all armed with the ability to capture high definition images and to share those images? What are the implications for that, for storytelling or maybe story finding? And so one of the things we're thinking about here is like, well, what's this paradigm shift? How do we imagine this in terms of a more participatory, dialogic, multi-channeled environment? A ritual view of communication is directed not toward the extension of messages in space, Innes, if you're into media theory, might come to mind here, but toward the maintenance of society in time. Not the act of imparting information, but the representation of shared beliefs. So this, if we want to think about media as something that binds the civic together, that informs it, but also makes it something more than just an informed bunch of disaggregated units, but a civic, this is really, really crucial. Co-creation, which is what our lab looks at, it looks at ritual as, so how does ritual manifest itself in media production terms? And we would argue that co-creation is the language we'd use. There is a shift across the board in fields of cultural construction, of cultural production, that are using something like co-creation. So all to say, this is nothing new. It's newly enabled through new technologies, but it's been with us for a while. So we would argue, as I just have, that co-creation is fundamental to the species. Like, this is just the way we do things as a species. In the digital era, it's really a touchstone and offers new ways to kindle connectivity, to define our relationship to materiality. And as I said, process here really matters a lot more. This is an approach that allows us to confront power systems, especially those that perpetuate inequity and inequality. This offers other alternatives. This lets us take up complex things like climate change, these are complex issues. There's a reason there's not a simple fix, but that we can embrace that complexity. And I think especially at a moment where trust in the media is at an all-time low, this offers us ways to get around that. So basically, there is a real power in working with as opposed to for and about, and that's what we're trying to do with this work. So thanks.
You were saying about the communicative function of specifically WhatsApp, which makes it so widespread and so valuable nowadays. So somehow, do you think this is why interactive documentaries have that much more potential than the regular classic documentaries had? And is that something that the lab right now does?
I think some forms of interactivity have that. So sometimes the word personalization is used, and that is, you have a few choices and you take the one you want to take. I think where the co-creative comes in is where there's a relational, like the relationship matters. So if you're able to upload information, if you're able to share information with people, like that's where that co-creative comes in. There is certainly a participatory dimension that's 3 steps ahead of the one size fits all. So a linear film versus interactive. The interactive does have that personalizing, some level of it, but the full co-creative comes when people are able to share their own experiences, even if it's as simple as comments. And of course, newspapers have been, in a very limited way, been trying to do that for a while.